here we go again. We're excited about getting out in the practice this weekend. It has been, we've been in quarantine and isolation and all that for the past week and a half. So we'll get some of our team back, probably about 2/3 of our team back today. So we'll get out there and kind of slow ramp it up. And get ready to get back into this race. It's a lot of crazy stuff the past couple of weeks within the Big Ten. A lot of cancellations, a lot of teams on the sidelines. Some of them that have been able to continue to train with their teams, and others like ourselves that haven't been able to do anything. And so we'll the fortunate thing is we've got a few weeks before the tournament gets here, and so we'll use those weeks wisely to try to build our team back up and try to be good.
We have a question from Jeff Patrikas.
Hey, Kelly, hope you're well.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi. You mentioned 2/3 of the team, and I know we dealt with this with football in the fall about having to come off a long pause, not having everybody available. What's your biggest concern, not only for the players, but also for the team coming off this pause, and how quickly or how long it will take them to get back up and running where they were before?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of different talks with coaches, volleyball coaches, coaches from other sports, professional coaches, and professional leagues, and just here's what I'm finding out is that every team is when they come back, it's different for every team, and it's different for a lot of individuals. And so I think the big thing is trying not to be pre-programmed exactly what it is that we're going to do. Is that watch and look and listen and listen to your medical people and trust your athletes. I think one of the things is trying to have everybody know is that, this isn't let's not come out with our hair on fire, right out of the gates, and let's be smart with our decisions. We want to be really good a month from now. If we're not that good a week or two from now, that's okay. That's all right. Let's not panic. Because I think that's where other injuries can come in. If you're coming out and we're going, right out of the gate, we're doing 3-hour practices today and tomorrow. That's probably not a really smart thing to go about it. And so, I want to make sure that our players are a little bit better every day, and trust the work that they put into this kind of helps get through this time. I know the people that were tested negatives, all of them were in spread out in hotel rooms and things like that. And I know that they were doing some exercising, they were doing some workout. And even if it's not what they would be doing with our strength coach, Kevin Schultz, it's still something. And so we'll slowly build it up every day by day.
Question from Dennis.
Hi, Kelly. Do you know for sure who you'll have available this weekend, and will that list be growing maybe, or will there be kids coming off isolation, or the people you'll have now, will that be who you have for a while?
It continues to change. So I don't know. Well, I think the mentality that I'm trying to have is, I watch year after year, week after week, how Paul Chris goes about things. And boy, I've learned so much about just watching his demeanor and how he goes about stuff. Football coaches, man, they have injuries every week, and they have people out constantly. And he seems to be able to roll with it. They've still got to field a team, and it's next man up mentality. And I think he does a great job. The leadership that he has for this program when things aren't going well has always really impressed me. And I kind of view it the same way, is that, we've got 20 people on our team, 17 are able to play because we've got 3 people that are just practice players. And I trust all 17 of them. And we won't have 17 available for, the next time that we play. And that's okay. Whoever they give me in practice that day, that's what we'll try to do. And we'll train those guys up, try to put the best lineup that we can out there and let it rip that night. And hopefully every time that we take the court, we'll be able to get some more players back. But I know we won't have 17 the next time that we play. And but hopefully we'll have a 17 by the end of the month, whenever that is, or the beginning of next month. I don't know. It changes quite a bit.
We have a question from Lance.
Hi, Kelly. I'm curious, you were playing so well before this pause. I mean, what's your level of concern of trying to build back that momentum that you kind of already had going since the group had been together and so cohesive over those several weeks leading up to the pause?
I think Stanford taught us a lot last year. They went into the season top team in the country and maybe the top player in the country. Catherine Plummer had some health issues. They put her on the sideline and let her get healthy. Team took some losses. Everybody's concerned. I bet everybody was concerned except Stanford, and right at the end of the year, they got her back and they were off and running and kind of ran through the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying that's what we're going to do, but I think what the lesson is that, the season is long. The most critical thing by the end of the year is that your team is healthy, and let's make decisions to allow that to happen. I know they were in the weight room this morning, the team, and on average their jumps were about 1.5 inches lower than what they normally are, and the team was a little bit frustrated about it. Strength coach isn't worried about it. I'm not worried about it because it's to be expected. And when you're away from activity for a period of time, there are some things that happen, and so we've got to slowly build that up. We're not expecting ourselves to be playing at an elite level like what we were a couple weeks ago when we get back in the gym today, and that's going to be okay. But we're hoping to be really freaking good somewhere down the line, and we're going to do everything to give us the best chance of being that. And that's not defeat us, that we're not woe is us. It's just what it is. And nobody is good when you start preseason. Any sport, nobody is good in preseason those first few days. It's everybody's excitement is really high, but the play in every sport is garbage. And you work through that, and all of a sudden, hopefully, you have a team that starts moving a little bit smoother as you get through preseason and into season. We're expecting it to be a little bit choppy here these next few days, but I know I'm going to have a team that is really, really fired up about being in the practice gym today. So let's roll.
We have a follow-up from Jeff.
Yeah, Kelly, you mentioned that you're going to be patient. Your strength coaches are patient. I'm sure athletes sometimes can tend to be impatient when they're not at the level they expect. Have you talked to them, or will you talk to them and say, look, don't kill yourself on your own. If we're limiting you in practice, be safe, be smart, and be patient along with us, and we'll be fine end of the month, beginning of next month, et cetera.
Jeff, you're right on. Yeah, we've said that, and I'm sure that it's 1 ear in, 1 ear out the other. But it's up to us to continue to reinforce. It's up to them to push and to train hard and to go. I mean, they've got big goals, they've got big dreams, and they want to get out there and so what we're going to try to do is communicate in a way that there's balance here. Let's do things that allow for balance, and let's do things that allow for growth. What we don't want to do is we don't want to come out and have 2 days where we go really hard, and now the following 2 days we're paying the price for that, and we've got to dial it back. And so can we build on this? We've missed some matches that we would have certainly loved to have played. There's some players that these guys have done made a lot of sacrifices. We're coming up on 12 months here, and and to lose some matches when you really want to play, to sit back in your hotel room or your apartment by yourself for a week and a half and watching other teams go at it is really, really tough, but I think one of the things that's been pretty cool to watch is some of the Wisconsin Badger other sports teams have really been crushing it the past few days. And I know there's been a shared enthusiasm amongst our entire team of how well those guys are doing. And that's kind of helped pass the time away a little bit.
Any further questions for Coach Sheffield?
No, one
Dennis?
more. Are your kids back in their normal living situations, or are they still hoteling, those who were cleared to play?
Almost everybody's back to their normal stuff. The bad thing about this is it's not everybody just get positive. It doesn't. Everybody's not getting the news of it being a positive test all on the same day, and so it spreads out when they're getting this news, and which starts their clock at different times. And so that's one of the really tough things, is that you could be somebody that's in quarantine and for a period of time, and all of a sudden your positive test pops up later than some other people around you. That's one of the frustrating things as athletes. These guys are sitting there going, on day one, they see other people are getting positive and they're saying, man, I'm hoping I get my positive right now. Because what you don't want to have is that positive test being getting to you on day 7 or day 8 or day 10, after you've already spent a week and a half by yourself. Those are the things that really frustrate the athletes. Or unfortunately, in our case, it wasn't everybody on the same day. So most of them are working their way back in. They will continue to work their way back into normal living situations here in the coming days. And then soon afterwards, when they get all their tests done and everything else, we'll get them back in the practice gym.